I am Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. So yes, people have been poking me lately. Did you keep going with it? Yes, I'm still watching Watchmen. It's the holiday season. Gearing up for it, trying to get through it. End of the year. I've had tax stuff start to come up that I'm trying to figure out how to deal with. Look, there's a lot, okay? But yes, I'm still working my way through it. Episode 5, I think this is. Hope so, if I got that right. But, so this is the episode. Well, we find out a few things. We find out where Adrian Veidt actually is, which didn't call that. It's not like a jaw-dropping surprise, but it is a bit of a, oh, okay. But primarily the focus of this particular episode is on the character of Looking Glass. That is I've mentioned him before, he's the cop whose mask is reflective. We find out a lot about him, and I really like this focus episode, not just because of what we learn about him, but what we learn about him tells us about the rest of this world and the kinds of people in it and what it's been like following the events of the end of the Watchmen comic book. Because this actually tackles the squid. And we knew the squid was part of this lore, that this is a follow-up to the comics and not the Zack Snyder film. Because, you know, we've seen the little squids and whatnot go on. So we knew that connection was there. But it was actually really cool to see this young version of this character in his youth. I was gonna say innocent. I'm not sure he was trying to be. Young man, Jehovah's Witness, trying to do what he's expected to do with that as his lot in life. Caught in the middle of the psychic blast that rocks New York from Adrian Veidt's squid. And surviving because he was in a hall of mirrors and something about reflective surfaces shielded him just enough that he survived. First of all, that's a really cool idea. It is a really, the thing is, the reflective mask he had was so cool in and of itself. I honestly didn't need an explanation for it. So my gut instinct, if you were to say, ooh, do you want to hear the secret behind why he wears that particular mask? My gut instinct would have been to go, no, I don't care. It's cool. You don't have to justify it. But this is one of those rare instances where the justification actually makes me go, okay, now it's cooler. Because now it's not just about looking badass. The guy's paranoid as hell. When he's not on the job, he wears a baseball cap lined with the same reflective material. He has a bunker at his house, and he has run drills so often that he's burned out the alarm that he uses. This guy has issues. I also kind of like his cover job. Because Angela has the bakery, and for him, he has this idea that he's involved in marketing and focus groups, which is just, he's such a weird fit for him as a character that it feels kind of perfect in an odd way. It just kind of did. So that was really cool. But seeing what happens with him getting taken in by the 7th Cavalry, meeting some of them, getting to know some of them, meeting the senator. We all knew the senator was scum. That wasn't even a tough call. Although, that having been said, I find the senator's rationalizations for why he does what he does in terms of his place within the 7th Cavalry to be interesting as a bit of character insight. Because I was not shocked that this guy, you know, was going to be an issue. I'm not surprised at all. But the rationale that he has, and I call it a rationale for a reason because I don't think he is so different from these people as he wants to believe that he is. He's not above them. But what he tells himself and what he tells to Looking Glass is he says, look, somebody has to point these people in certain directions so they do minimal, collateral damage and maybe even get something decent accomplished. And he says that's what the chief, the one who died at the end of the first episode, was doing as well. And that's a decent cover story, except, these guys aren't the Klan. So the chief had a Klan's outfit. He just had that on his own, had nothing to do with this. So it's not like he's sitting there going, oh, what a pity I have to associate with these racists. Maybe he told himself that. Maybe you tell yourself that, Senator. But you're not any better than them. And it's a decent kind of insight. And especially, I was going to say I don't want to get too political, but this is a deeply, deeply political show. So screw it. Especially knowing the time that it was made and released being relatively recent, and what's been going on in politics, particularly on the right, with these radicalized groups being, if not outright approved of and encouraged, at the very least not denounced by a lot of leadership, including from the damn president. And while I don't think this is the president's thought process, I don't doubt that a fair amount of the rank and file senators who have been in the position for a while but now are trying to grapple with this very riled up and potentially very dangerous base, I wouldn't be shocked if part of how they sleep at night is they tell themselves, well, somebody has to lead them, otherwise it'll be even worse than it is now. You tell yourself that, you son of a bitch. So it was insightful to the character, and it showed insight into kind of the current political atmosphere of the United States. A little bit. Just a little tiny bit. In the year 2019, 2020. Sort of thing. But that was all good, and that was all really well done. I do feel like, from what we've seen with the 7th Cavalry, that the whole plan to try and integrate Looking Glass and to drop the lettuce so he would see it, and that he would connect that to the truck, and that he would... That feels a little bit too elaborate for these kinds of people. I'm not trying to say they seem stupid, but kind of like the senator says, they need someone to guide them because they're rowdy, they're angry, they're not focused. And even taking the senator into account, this plan seems a little too... Well, it seems a little too supervillain. I'm not saying that somebody couldn't have done it. Like, it's far from the most convoluted plan I've seen in anything like this. But it's just, it banks a little bit too much on, put him in contact with this woman, hope that he has a connection with her, drop the lettuce, hope he sees the lettuce, hope he makes the connection about the lettuce, hope he follows the lettuce, like that. You know, I use this refrain a lot, but not a great plan. It works, but that's narrative contrivance. That's about the only thing I'm really gonna nitpick at, though. I actually really, really love the moment at the end where, after he has had it revealed to him that the squid wasn't what he thought it was, wasn't what he was so terrified of for decades now. And he goes home and he throws out the replacement alarm for his security system. Then he comes back out to the trash and he grabs it anyways, because no matter what your rational brain says, by this point you've built habits on top of the fact that you're still scared. Even if you know it's irrational, that doesn't make all fear go away. And then the 7th Cavalry pulls up. I'll be curious to see if we open with him already dead, starting off the next episode. which I think was also a very good thing. Because otherwise, to not include something like that, it leaves open the possibility of, oh, they just have to convince people that they're right, and then they'll treat those people well. Like, no, these people are scum. And the fact that they went to all this trouble to convert him, really not because they care about him, because they want him to flip on Angela and get her off their backs. And then once he's done that, they'll get rid of him. Because he's a liability. He's a cop. What if he gets a crisis of conscience? No, get rid of him. There can't be this sort of honor code with people like this. And I'm saying that in terms of the fictional depiction. Because humanizing extremists, and this is not me saying that extremists are inhuman, but in terms of depictions in media, humanizing extremists we can look at historically has led to certain segments of the audience feeling more sympathy towards real life extremists and real people who hold these horrific, harmful, dangerous beliefs. That's something that's been studied. The movie American History X, which is a condemnation of white supremacy and skinheads, is a movie that is used as a recruitment tool for those same groups because it makes them look badass, for one thing, but in addition to that, it gives them just enough humanity that you go, oh, well, they're not just monsters. And with something, and I'm not even saying that like all political messaging in all media needs to do what I'm talking about, what I'm seeing this show do. But for the political positions that Watchmen appears to be taking, it needed to not give that wiggle room. Not for this story, not for these characters, not for these political overtones that it has. It would have run counter to what it's been doing up to this point, but it didn't. They were smart. I think I'll wrap it up there. Watchmen, continuing right along. And I don't know how long it'll be until the next one. We'll see. Thank you very much for tuning in. What did you think about this episode? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Like, share, subscribe. I have a Patreon. That is what enables me to pay for HBO Max and actually watch this dang thing. Any amount you're able to support me is of help, even if you aren't. All the stuff that I mentioned before still helps me out. I've got a link to merch down in the description. But you also don't have to do any of it. Because, at the end of the day, you are the council. I just run the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.